The first is the approval of minutes from September 26, 2013. Does anybody have any comments, questions, or clarifications? If not, is there a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion's approved. Okay, item number 2, approval for an on-premise beer permit for Mother Earth Meats, 11151 Kingston Pike.
Is the applicant here tonight? Okay, since they're not here, we will have to postpone that to the next one.
We'll postpone that then. So with that said, the beer board meeting is adjourned.
We have just a few minutes before we start the Board of Mayor and Alderman meeting. How are you doing, Jeff?
Doing fine.
Good.
Staying warm?
We got a nice thing. Haven't seen it yet. Covenant.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, the annual report, yeah. We're always looking
Are you Jeff?
traveling anywhere for Thanksgiving.
Going to Atlanta with our oldest daughter. Her husband's still in Afghanistan, so going to my middle daughter's having her husband's family in North Carolina, and my younger daughter's going to Florida with her in-laws. So we decided we'd go.
Yeah, we used to get together for Thanksgiving, but we got about 4 days.
Might. I was out of town all week.
Got married, probably down to Florida 2 weeks ago. One of them got married. But everyone's kind of spread out on Thanksgiving, so we just don't even have to get together.
No, it's hard.
Travel, I hope.
Which is actually.
It was. Yeah, it was
Hate driving over the holidays.
dynamic.
Oh, I know.
Oh,
So in a way, I can't complain. It
Is he here?
we'll do it real
So
quick.
what should we do?
I'll just reconvene the meeting.
Okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, our applicant for the agenda item we had on the beer board has shown up, so we're going to go ahead and just reconvene that meeting quickly. So I'm going to go back to item 2, and that is, again, approval for an on-premise beer permit for Mother Earth Meats, 11151 Kingston Pike. So,
Yes, sir. As you said, the purpose of this agenda item is to approve an on-off-premise beer permit for Mother Earth Meats. The application information is in order, and this is actually will be our first on-off-premise beer permit. So that is new for us. So the motion is to approve the on-off beer permit for Mother Earth Meats at 11151 Kingston Pike, subject to obtaining a certificate of occupancy.
okay. So just a point of clarity, this is an approval for an on and off-premise beer
Yes.
permit. Okay. Just so everybody knew that.
And
Uh,
Mr. Tracy Monday is here.
Okay. Does the applicant have any comments they would like to make?
Sir, would you please come to the microphone?
We should have you come down to the microphone.
Give us
Thank
your
you.
name and your address.
I'm Tracy Monday from Mother Earth Meats, and we're going to have a craft beer, both in a bottle for people to take home or from the draft wall.
Okay, thank you. Want to have any other questions for the applicant at all?
When do you expect to get your certificate of occupancy?
Sometime here in the next week or so.
Okay, any other questions?
Yeah, where exactly is your store located?
It's in where Archer's Barbecue used to be.
What's-
Monterey Mexican restaurant was before that.
Where the old,
Beside the old Blockbuster,
the old Blockbuster too?
Okay, up here in the Food City Shopping Center.
across
Yes.
from that.
No, across the street from there,
Yeah.
across from
Right.
Wendy's.
Okay.
Welcome to our community too.
Thank you.
Great to have you here. Any other comments or questions? If not, is there a motion?
I'll move for approval.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, motion carries.
You're
Now,
in business.
For
Welcome.
the second time, we're going to go ahead and adjourn this meeting. I tell you, this has been a tough meeting. These Tuesday night meetings screw everything up.
Trying to get in the wrong door.
Thank you, sir.
Big time.
Okay, now it is time to start the Board of Mayor and Alderman meeting for November the 19th. We will rise for, no, I believe we have a minister here to pray.
Let's pray together. God, we've come to a wonderful time of the year that we call Thanksgiving. We just pause to say thanks because we're blessed. You have given us the privilege to live in a community where we're free to share and to express the things that you want us to do each and every day to make a difference in our community. I thank you for this group that is before me that works so diligently to make Farragut such a wonderful place to live. Thank you for the progress that's been made in the past year. And thank you for the upcoming events that which we not only celebrate Thanksgiving but celebrate the Christmas season. Thank you for allowing us to be able to educate ourselves, to train ourselves, to improve ourselves, and to find your direction for our lives each day. And we give you thanks. In Christ's name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
There are no scouts here tonight, so we will now have the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Born and unborn. Oh, thank you, sir. Mr. Boyles?
No, I'm Steve Peak.
Oh, okay, because we thought Larry Boyles was coming. Oh, you did? Well, I want to thank you, sir, for coming.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jeff. Okay, now we'll have approval of the agenda.
I'll move for approval.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, next is the mayor's report, and our mayor, Mr. McGill, is in Chile, and so therefore I'm serving in his place this evening. Just want to let you know that Alderman Markley, the mayor, and myself we attended the Congress of Cities in Seattle, Washington, and the mayor is bringing back several ideas for our town, and hopefully we will be talking about those in the near future. The only problem we had was arriving home at 4 a.m. in the morning because we had to fly into Chicago, and with all the storms and tornadoes and everything, all the planes were canceled, but we were just glad to get home even at 4 a.m. Allison, do we have anybody sign up for the Citizens Forum?
No, ma'am.
Now we will have the approval of the minutes.
Oh, I'm sorry. Betty Cisco's here.
Oh,
I almost forgot.
well, don't. Betty says,
Well, I even have it written down.
where are the minutes?
Hi, I'm Betty Cisco, president of the Farragut West Knox Chamber of Commerce, and I'm here tonight just to present something to each of you and say thank you. It's that time of year, you know, we got our new shirts for our 5K, and so we're pretty proud of them this year. The colors turned out just perfect, and we were so glad that we did suggest these colors to UT. So that's why we went ahead and made our shirts this way also. So just so you'll know. But I did want to say thank you for being the presenting sponsors of our 5K. Thanks again for the use of the park. And I have a shirt for each of you that I want to give you. And if you need to rumble the sizes around, that'll be great. So you can get the size that you need. If you need a different size, I'll try to get it for you. Let me know real quick, and we'll probably be able to get you the right size if one of these is not. But that's all I wanted to say, and happy Thanksgiving.
Oh, thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks, Betty.
We just need to get you to come out of your shell. If that day ever happens, it's going to be an amazing day.
When am I going to come out of my shell?
Yeah, I hope it happens.
You have a medium in there
Thank you
anywhere?
very much.
You have a medium in there anywhere? Do you have a medium in there anywhere?
I don't know. You'll have to talk to your constituents.
I emailed.
That's a good answer.
I emailed.
This is small.
I emailed. I sure can't use the small.
I don't know what size these ladies.
All right, thank you, Betty, appreciate that.
But that one's for Valerie.
Very nice. That's design.
Thank you.
Bearing gifts.
Betty, I emailed you that name today.
Oh, good, thank you.
By Christmas, I'll be able to wear it.
And thank you very much, and happy Thanksgiving to you too.
We'll give them away.
We'll give them away.
All right, thanks, Ben.
Okay, now for the approval of the minutes from October the 24th, 2013.
I will move for approval.
Second.
All those in favor of approval of the minutes?
Aye.
Okay. Our first order of business is ordinance, public hearing, and it's a second reading on ordinance 13-22. An ordinance to amend the text of the zoning ordinance of the town of Farragut, Tennessee, ordinance 86-16 as amended by amending chapter 4, section 4. Measurement of setbacks, open space, visibility triangle, use of lots and access points to clarify method of measuring setbacks as authorized pursuant to section 13-4-201 Tennessee Code annotated. Let's see, Mr. Shipley.
That was a long preamble to the kind of a relatively simple item, hopefully. This is really just cleaning up some language in our zoning ordinance that came out of a lawsuit that the Board of Zoning Appeals was involved with a year or so ago. Basically, there was some question when this went to the Court of Appeals about some of the language in this particular section of our zoning ordinance. The staff met with Tom Hale and tried to figure out ways to make the language more concrete, and that's really what the result of Ordinance 13-22 is trying to accomplish. The Planning Commission at their meeting on September 19th unanimously approved Resolution 13-8, which recommends approval of the requested ordinance 13-22, and the staff also recommends approval on second reading. And if you have any specific questions, I'd be happy to try to answer those.
So basically, as I understand it, Mark, the only change here is that we've clarified appurtenance to be a non-enclosed structure.
Yeah, we took the term appurtenance out because the judge had apparently some concerns about that. It was a little bit vague, and we added in our mind, very concrete language to that particular section where there shouldn't be any interpretation to try to clean it up, and we added a couple other minor adjustments to that section, but it's basically saying the same thing as it always has. It's just more straightforward and concrete.
I'll move for approval.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion approved. The next ordinance for first reading is 13-24. Ordinance to amend Ordinance 13-19 fiscal year 2014 budget.
Yes, this ordinance 1324 will amend the budget to reflect the following. The capital investment program will be amended by increasing the appropriate expenditures by $550,000. Funds for the synthetic turf field at Mayor Bob Leonard Park were budgeted in fiscal year 2013 in the amount of $550,000, but not expended until fiscal year 2014. Therefore, the appropriation must be moved to the current budget. The project estimate is to be approximately $40,000 under budget. The softball fence replacement project is currently budgeted in the fiscal year 2014 budget in the amount of $75,000. The budget for the fencing project will increase by $35,000. The purpose of the increase is to fund the installation of the softball field fencing at the upper and lower softball fields at Mayor Bob Leonard Park and the installation of the backstop area at the softball field at Anchor Park. Bids for the project were opened Wednesday, November 6th, and the total cost as specified was $106,479. The total amount being transferred from the fiscal year 2013 to 2014 budget is $550,000, which is the original amount of the synthetic field budget in 2014. Due to the budget being under the line item, the transfer will be made to decrease the synthetic field budget to $515,000 and increase the softball field fencing budget to $110,000. The net transfer is the same as the original budgeted amount. Motion is to approve Ordinance 13-24 on first reading.
Any comments from anybody on the board, from any of the aldermen on the board?
I was curious, how old is the fencing on those softball fields? I know it's been out there for a long time. I didn't think we knew offhand.
Gary, do you know? 15, 20 years?
That's the one question that I.
We didn't know.
I
Yeah.
have no idea how old. I know it's old, maybe Bud.
85.
Yeah.
So you're talking 25 years in some of those cases, and it tells if you go out there as you.
Curling along the bottom.
Right.
Yeah, we've got pretty good utilization.
Had a good life.
Just curious about the height of the fencing. I know along the lower softball field, the one that backs up to the wetland area, I've been on that over the years and lost many a ball over that fence in the water area there. Just curious, is the fencing height going to stay the same, or are we going to look at increasing that a little bit?
It's going up. The outfield fence and the side fence.
The side fencing currently is 6 feet tall, and it's going to. I think we're proposing to increase that to 8 feet, and it'll have a capping at the top to where it's more of a safety issue. That way you can't get your hand caught in the fencing that typically comes up on top of the rungs there. And what you see in the picture with the way, this is not our fields, but another complex similar to what it'll look like, the fencing behind the plates will actually go straight up in the air rather than have that curved look that ones typically do now. Again, I think that helps with foul balls, things like that, but it'll also be higher like that.
Thank you.
I'm going to move for approval.
Second.
You guys are too good. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion approved. Our next order is business items, and the first one is the approval of the narrowband two-way radio communications equipment. Mr. McKelvey?
Good evening. Many years ago when the town was incorporated, a realty company gave the town a radio system. Volunteer Realty just gave us a radio system. We used it for years. It kept tearing up, so we went to what they call a wideband radio system. And last year, the FCC actually stopped using wideband and two-way communication. And so that made our system non-existent as of December of this past year. So what the town has done is we've gone out and we've looked at a narrow band system on the state bid contract. And we have a company here in Knoxville that has provided us pricing at the state bid contract price. This radio system would be used in each one of the town public works vehicles. It would have a repeater that would be put up at the tower, water tower above Concord Hills, where First Utility has a repeater, and we actually have our old repeater up there now. The repeater has battery backup system set up for it, so if the power goes out, we can still communicate with each other. The radios themselves have a feature called Talk Around, which if something were to happen to the repeater, then we could actually talk vehicle to vehicle. But the reason for this is in the events of emergencies, we found out that everybody's going to using cell phones, and the problem is the cell phone. They get so congested that we can't even get in. I mean, we can't even make phone calls, or they're not working. So for us to communicate with our public works employees in that type of a situation, we need something that we can depend on. And so what I have before you this evening is a complete packet of information for the narrowband system, which would include portable radios, in a couple of portable radios, a radio in each truck, a radio here at the town hall, and another radio up at the a desk mount here and a desk mount up at the Public Works building. So we could have complete coverage from here to there and then out to each one of the vehicles. The total price is $16,744.90, and that includes that's a turnkey, includes all the installation, everything for this radio system. And I would like to ask for your approval for this item.
Any comments from the board?
I'll move for approval.
I'll
Second. I hesitated, huh?
You
I'll
left
take
it open,
Jeff.
and I jumped.
Who got that?
I
Al?
won't take Jeff this time.
Alderman
okay?
Elliott.
Motion carries, and we approve the two-way radio communication equipment, and thank you, Mr. McKelvey, for doing that. And I think you still have some more. The next item is approval of the 2013-2014 snow removal schedule and map.
This is our annual review of the snow removal schedule. Each year we usually bring it to you in December. This year we're bringing it to you in November because December the last few years has scared me a little bit. But we've gone through, reviewed complaints or service requests that we got last year. We've reevaluated subdivisions that were just in progress of being built. We've also reevaluated some other areas that we found ourselves as trouble areas over last year, and would like to ask for your approval to add 3 roads to the first priority list, which would be Turkey Cove Lane, which is just about halfway built out now, which is a subdivision off of Parkside behind the movie theater, and also Outlets Drive, which was opened up this past year from Lovell Road. We would take care of that over to the town limits, which is Garden Ridge. And then also Axton Drive, which is off of East Fox Den. Because of the steepness of the hill and the shade of the trees has grown up, it's created a problem for us in the past. On the secondary level priority, Cool Springs Boulevard and Spring Water Lane, which is is the main entrance to the subdivisions down off of Fleener at Cool Springs. Chapel Glen Lane, which is off of Fritz Road. That subdivision only has one house left to be built, one lot to be built on in there, so it needs to have the main road done in it. Cheho Drive is one over the years we've kind of kept an eye on, but last year we had some issues with it. It hasn't been on there. We'd like to add that this year. Stone Villa Lane, which is an addition in the farm at Willow Creek that actually goes in. We went in and did the front entranceway, but this actually goes up the hill. And also Lone Willow Drive, which is up there and comes around and ties back in the farm at Willow Creek. And then Highwick Circle is the very top section of Bridgemore. If you go up to we used to go up to the clubhouse and turn around and come back down, so we got the main hill coming back down. But since they've built so many houses above the clubhouse, we're going to go up to the top and make that loop on Highwick and then come back down there at the boulevard. So if you all know of any other requests or anything that you've gotten, calls or have concerns about, we can talk about those this evening. But these are the ones that we have identified from last year, and would like to have your approval to add these to our snow removal list.
Thank you, Mr. McKelvey, for yourself and for your staff and all the good work that they do in keeping our roads safe. We appreciate it. Do I hear a motion?
I'll move for approval.
Second.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
Next order of business, approval of a request for approval of excess variance for a right-in only excess off of North Campbell Station Road for the Holiday Inn Express at 816 North Campbell Station Road, Zone C-2, Shashi Patel applicant, or Sashi. Mr. Shipley.
Okay, I don't know how much you want me to give you on this background, because it's rather long for a rather simple request. But just kind of how we got to this point, there was a plat that was created back in 1996 before Snyder Road extension was, even under construction. And it platted part of the right-of-way for what's now Snyder Road extension. It also platted a joint permanent access easement just to the east of where the Fairfield Inn has now been constructed. that plat required that whenever the access easement area actually had a physical access across it, that the properties abutting that, which included Holiday Inn Express, would have to access that driveway essentially, and that would be their only access. Holiday Inn Express came in prior to, obviously, Snyder Road extension being completed, and at the time, none of the access required on the plat had been constructed, so their only access when they came in to build their facility was off of North Campbell Station Road. And at the time of their site plan approval, they had a full access, in and out, just like any other entity. But with the understanding that whenever Snyder Road extension was finished and the access along the joint permanent access easement east of Fairfield Inn was constructed, that the access Holiday Inn Express had on North Campbell Station Road would have to go away. That was part of the plat requirement. And the reason the plat had those stipulations was to be consistent with our ordinance for major arterial roads requiring 400-foot distance between access points. So what happened was when Fairfield Inn was approved and started their construction in 2012, and Snyder Road extension was being completed as well, there was also a site plan that was approved for the removal of the Holiday Inn Express access onto Campbell Station Road to be consistent with that plat again. When Fairfield Inn was ready to obtain their certificate of occupancy in August of this year, the access for Holiday Inn Express was removed, and they tied in to basically the private drive that Fairfield Inn constructed along that joint permanent easement. Since that occurred, the owner has had some complaints because the ground-mounted sign is obviously at the entrance to where you turn in off of Campbell Station Road to Holiday Inn Express. There also was a deceleration lane that was constructed. So if you're not familiar with the area, which most people going to a hotel aren't, they're going to assume turn, off of Campbell Station Road. That's why they have that temporary sign out there. I worked with the owner to try to help him in the short term to, avoid some confusion. What they're requesting now is just a right-in only access off of Campbell Station Road. The patrons would exit their property along the joint permanent easement and then down to the traffic light at Snyder Road, Campbell Station. So it's just right-in only. This would require a variance from the driveways and other access ways ordinance, and that's why it's one of the reasons why it's here. The proposed access would be about 190 feet north of the interchange of Snyder Road, North Campbell Station on the east side of Campbell Station Road, and it'd be about 400 feet going north on Campbell Station Road. When the staff reviewed this, we felt that there was some merit. Me and Darrell Smith, town engineer, we thought there was some merit in their request. It seemed like it made some practical and functional sense to have an access off of Campbell Station Road, and we did support the request. The Planning Commission at their meeting on October 17th recommended to approve the right-in only access and the variance needed for that access. There is one stipulation that the staff and the Planning Commission recommended, and that is that plat note that required Holiday Inn Express to only access the joint permanent easement would have to be amended. The owners know about that. They've known about it from the very start. And with that long background, that's kind of how we got to this point. So if anybody has any questions, I'll be
Well,
happy.
I'm very much in favor of it because it happened to me. And I had to find a way to turn around because if you go up the road, you have to go a little ways before you can turn around.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I kind of wish they'd have gotten started on that before they took the old one out, but whatever. It's, it's the way it goes.
any comments from the members of the board?
Yes, Mark, you may have addressed it and I missed it, but it's Fairfield, they're just below on the adjacent tract, right?
Yes, just south.
And, yeah, just south. And do they have any access off of Campbell Station?
No. No, their access is off of the joint permanent easement.
Mm-hmm.
They constructed on the east side of their property, which goes down to the interchange, the traffic light at Snyder Road, Campbell Station. Yeah, there you go.
Which kind of makes sense because they actually front
Yeah.
on the Snyder Road.
And it was built with that understanding, you know, whereas the Holiday Inn Express, they got their monument sign out there at Campbell
Yeah.
Station Road. So, and the deceleration lane, you know, if the request wasn't approved for the right-in only, the staff would certainly recommend to get rid of that deceleration lane because that's a real misleading, you know, if it were to
Well,
remain.
it just makes more sense, and to me, it's safer when people are going into that hotel.
Yeah, I think it's just a real common sense sort of thing that it makes sense. That's why we have.
Okay, then, do I hear a motion?
I'll move for approval.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Motion passes. Next order of business is the approval of for certificate of compliance for DSJJ LLC, DBA Campbell Station Wine and Spirits.
Yes, ma'am. Before an applicant can receive a license for an establishment for an off-premise liquor store, the applicant shall make an application for certificate of compliance for a specific location to be granted such certificate or such specific location by the Board of Mayor and Aldermen as required by Tennessee Code annotated 57-3-208. The number of off-premise liquor stores that may be issued for locations within the town shall not exceed the 5 stores. DSJJ LLC, also known as Campbell Station Wine and Spirits. Several Innings LLC, which is currently Campbell Station Wine and Spirits owner, has reached a written letter of intent agreement on the terms of the sale of the Campbell Station Wine and Spirits store to the applicants David Stevens and Jared Jordan, who is the limited liability of DSJJ. The store, land, and building are both expected to close simultaneously on January 1st of 2014. The applicant has provided all records and advertising requirements, and the motion is to approve a certificate of compliance for an off-premise liquor store for Campbell Station Wine and Spirit at 707 North Campbell Station Road. And the applicants are here tonight.
Good evening, I'm David Stevens, and this is my son-in-law, Jared Jordan. We are related.
Are there any comments from our town attorney?
So which one of you lives in Florida?
I do.
So when you moving up?
Actually, I also live in Memphis, so I spend summers in Memphis. Jared is actually moving to Farragut in December with his family, and since my grandkids are leaving Memphis, we will be selling our Memphis home and moving to Farragut as well and spend summers here.
Well, fantastic.
We've been season football ticket holders for 35 years, so we're here pretty often.
Welcome to our community.
Thank you. Thank you.
You just said that you would follow up with any details if we needed it.
Yes, and I don't really, the only reason, I guess, the Vice Mayor asked me to comment is there was an issue about the residency requirements, and I have looked into it. It looks like that, as I noted in a memo to the board, that our ordinance incorporates by reference the state requirements. The state requirements have a residency requirement, but recently, I guess as recently as last year, the Attorney General has issued an opinion that those residency requirements are unconstitutional, and the state is not enforcing the residency requirements. So it seems to me that our ordinance, which incorporates by reference any of their requirements, would then not have anything to incorporate by reference, since the state's not enforcing that residency requirement. And so I don't see that as an issue.
Okay. I thought that needed to be made public. Any comments from anybody? Any of the aldermen on the board?
I'm going to move for approval.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes.
Thank
And
you.
we're happy that you're going to be here. Two new families coming to Farragut. That's great.
We look forward to it. Good to be back.
We've got lots of nice subdivisions for you to move
We
into.
both used to live here, so.
Yeah, so it's coming back. Thank you.
We will now hear from our town administrator on the Town of Farragut debt obligation report.
Vice Mayor LaMarche and members of the board, just a couple weeks ago, we closed on the Russell property, which is located at the northwest corner of Campbell Station Road and Kingston Pike. And with that, there are some, we paid part of the money down, and we were actually financing through the family for the rest of the money over a 3-year period. And so because of that, there are some state requirements that we bring to you tonight, and just make sure we've covered all of our bases on that. So I'm going to let our town recorder, Allison Myers, walk you through the report that's in your packet right now. There's nothing that the board needs to act on. This is just simply a report and any opportunity you have to ask questions of us.
As Mr. Smoke said, in Tennessee Code annotated 9-21-151, the town administration must complete and submit a report of debt obligation form to the state comptroller of the treasury. Prior to submitting the form, the final closing information must be presented to the board within 45 days of the closing of the property. So what you have in the form following the memo is just a summary of the face value of the debt, what kind of debt obligation it is, the interest cost, and any costs that we incurred in the closing of the property. And then Vice Mayor LaMarche will sign that tonight, and we'll send it to the state tomorrow. And that's the final step in our debt obligation.
Pretty smooth.
It's been very smooth.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mrs. Myers. Do we have any report from the attorney?
No report tonight, unless you all want to have an executive session just for the heck of it.
I don't think so.
We'll do that next month, do Christmas Carol.
Yeah, make a motion that we not do that.
Mr. Smoke, when is our meeting in December?
December the 12th.
12th, okay, I wanted to make sure everybody's aware of that tonight.
Regular first
Right,
meeting in
that's right.
December.
But it'll be our only meeting
The only
in
Yeah.
December due to Christmas holiday.
Seeing no other further business, our meeting is adjourned.
Good job. There you go.
Not always record meetings.